I won't be the one to ignite the flames, but I'll make sure they burn hotter than you ever thought possible. When the world pushes you down, it's not about retaliating, it's about finding the strength to rise above it and let the fire of your actions do the talking. I don't fight to destroy, I fight to rise. Keep testing me, and you'll see the power of a person who has learned how to turn trials into triumphs. The greatest strength lies in knowing when to hold back. But when I unleash my power, the world will know why you shouldn't have tested me in the first place. Your ego might think it's invincible, but a single spark of truth can set it ablaze. And that's a lesson you'll regret learning the hard way. I'm not one to speak loudly or make threats, but keep pushing me, and you'll see how the quietest moments can burn the hottest. It's not the fire that burns, it's the heat that lingers long after. Test me enough, and you'll find yourself scorched by the consequences of your own actions. Patience isn't a passive trait, it's a calculated decision. And when that decision turns to action, the fire is impossible to control. You can test someone's strength, but when you test their resolve, you ignite something far stronger than you anticipated. I won't fight your ego. I'll let it burn itself out. All I need to do is wait for the right moment to show you what true power looks like. Every time you push me, the fire inside me grows. But be careful. One day, that fire will consume everything you thought you understood about strength. My silence speaks volumes. Test me, and you'll hear the roar of consequences, louder than any words I could ever say. You can test my patience, but when I finally reach my breaking point, the fallout will be a storm you never saw coming. I am not interested in petty battles or ego-driven conflicts. Test me, and you'll see just how destructive true power can be. I will never chase validation, but push me too far, and I'll show you the kind of power that doesn't require permission to burn. My patience is a slow burn, but when it ignites, there's no telling what it will consume. Test me, and you'll find out. I don't need to prove anything, but when you test my limits, you'll see the kind of fire that burns through the greatest of egos. Your arrogance will be the thing that consumes you. I'll stand back, waiting for the moment when the fire you started turns on you. I don't waste energy on things that don't deserve my attention, but if you keep testing me, you'll soon see the power of focused fire. Testing me is like planting a seed of destruction. Watch closely, and you'll witness its full bloom in ways you never thought possible. You can push me, but understand this: I'll never fight your ego. I'll let it burn itself out with nothing but your own pride left behind. I don't need to fight back. I'll stand still, and when you finally realize the fire you've ignited, it will already be too late. You don't understand the power of silence until you see it destroy everything you thought you controlled. Test me, and you'll find out. Push me too far, and I won't just burn your ego. I'll show you the force of someone who has learned the art of controlled chaos. Ego might make you feel invincible, but a well-timed response will remind you of how quickly that invincibility can turn to dust. I'll never engage in a battle for your ego, but when you test me, you'll find that I can turn even your smallest mistake into a lesson you'll never forget. Testing me is a gamble, and when you push me to my limit, you might just find out the hard way that you've already lost the bet. You may think you've got control, but the moment you test me, you'll realize how much power I've been holding back all along. Patience doesn't mean I'm weak. It means I'm choosing when and where to make my mark. Test me, and you'll see the force of a decision well timed. Underestimating someone with patience is a mistake. Push me far enough, and you'll witness the destruction of everything you thought you controlled. Silence doesn't mean surrender. It's a quiet storm waiting to break free. Keep testing me, and you'll soon find yourself caught in the aftermath. Testing my limits is like playing with fire, but it's your own ego that will burn once the flames start to rise. I don't need to say much, because I've learned the most powerful statements are made with actions, not words. Keep pushing, and you'll see for yourself. The stronger the restraint, the more powerful the eruption. Don't push me too far, or you'll regret what comes next. I've learned to hold back my power, but every test you throw at me brings me closer to showing you just how much I can achieve. The ego may feel untouchable, but when you test someone with real strength, you'll quickly learn how fragile it truly is. There are moments when silence speaks louder than words, and actions can burn bridges faster than any verbal confrontation. Keep pushing my limits, and you'll discover a strength in me that you never knew existed. Testing someone's patience is like playing with fire, unaware that you might just ignite a flame that will burn your own pride to the ground. The only thing more dangerous than a mind on fire is a heart that has been tested beyond measure. The ego is fragile, and when pushed, it will turn to ashes. I don't need to speak loudly. My action will speak for themselves. Keep testing me, and you'll realize how much power is hidden in my silence. When your ego is bruised, you'll do anything to protect it. But when you test my resolve, you'll learn that true strength comes not from ego, but from knowing exactly when to rise above it. There's power in patience and strength in restraint. Test me, and you'll see just how deep my patience runs before it erupts like a fire consuming everything in its path. I won't waste my energy fighting a battle you think you're ready for, but keep testing me and I'll show you how quickly the tables can turn. Patience doesn't mean weakness. It means I'm waiting for the right moment to ignite a fire that will burn away every ounce of your arrogance. You can only test someone so far before they break free from the confines of their patience and let their actions speak in ways words never could. Testing someone's limits is a dangerous game, for you never know when you've pushed them to the point where their silence becomes a storm. When you try to play with fire, remember that the flame may not be what you expect. It can turn your own insecurities into the very thing that burns you. Underestimating someone's strength only fuels their fire. Keep testing me, and you'll discover just how fierce a quiet storm can truly be. I'm not easily broken, but if you keep testing my spirit, you'll eventually see just how much heat is hidden beneath the surface. Don't mistake my patience for submission. There's power in restraint, and when I let go, you'll understand just how dangerous it is to push someone who's holding back. Some people burn bridges to make a point. I don't burn bridges. I let you build them, only to watch them crumble under the weight of your own ego. I don't engage in petty arguments or meaningless fights. Test me enough, and you'll witness how much damage a quiet, collected mind can do. Keep testing me, and I'll teach you the power of restraint. When it finally breaks, the consequences will be a force of nature you weren't prepared for. Testing me isn't just a challenge to my patience. It's an invitation to discover the untapped potential of a mind that's been pushed too far. Ego is fragile, but my strength is unbreakable. Keep testing me, and you'll find out just how unyielding my resolve truly is. Patience isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of understanding the deeper consequences of your actions when the moment to respond finally arrives. The more you test me, the more you feed my fire. I'll rise above your challenges, but one day you'll find yourself consumed by the very flames you started. There's no greater power than knowing when to step back and let your actions set the world on fire when the time is right. Test me as much as you want, but remember, the higher the stakes, the more explosive the consequences will be when I finally react. I'm not interested in proving myself to anyone, but push me too far and you'll find a side of me you never expected. There's a fine line between testing someone's limits and pushing them to a place where they no longer care about the consequences of their response. The ego will always try to protect itself, but when it faces someone who's been tested by life itself, the flames of its destruction are inevitable. Don't mistake my calm for weakness. I know when to rise, and when I do, The fire you've ignited will be more than you bargained for. The true power of a person lies in their ability to remain composed, but you'll learn that the moment that composure is broken, it's impossible to control the fallout. Testing me is like stepping into a storm, unaware of the winds you're about to provoke. My silence hides a force that will burn everything you thought you understood. I don't react impulsively. I plan and wait. Keep pushing me, and when the fire ignites, you'll regret underestimating the quiet power that was always there. Patience isn't about being weak. It's about knowing that the power of 1,000 storms can come from a single spark, one you might just ignite. I don't need to react in anger. My silence is the fuse, and once it burns out, the explosion will speak for itself. Don't push me to the edge. The higher you climb to test my limits, the further you will fall when I finally show you what happens when patience turns to fire.